Hey, Emily, what's your favorite hole? You know, black, worm, glory, golf, donut.
I prefer the blue hole, honestly.
Well, my favorite hole is the 2003 Disney hit film, Holes.
Very specific.
Well, what didn't you know? This is the topic for today's podcast. Holes. Do you like my intro?
I don't even know.
We're a hole-themed podcast. The Swamp, which stands for...
Some whack-ass movie podcasting.
I'm Dara, lover of some holes, but not all.
I'm Emily, lover of most holes. But again, not all.
Yeah. And, you know, and one hole that I don't really care for is Shia LaBeouf's hole.
Yeah.
And at the top of this podcast, I just think it's important that we make an announcement before we dig in to this movie.
Jesus Christ.
I think it's just important to address that Shia LaBeouf is a garbage human being. He's trash. And honestly, there's no need to even talk about him because he's the least impressive and least important part of this whole movie.
Yeah.
Despite being the main character.
Honestly, the entire movie could do without him, generally.
And we believe women here. And fuck that guy. He should never be hired again. Anyways, moving on. You can look up this story on your own time, but given that we are talking about a movie that does, you know, star a pretty shit person who's kind of coming up a lot in Hollywood news right now, it's just, you know, let's chop it off the top at the beginning and then fucking roll out from here.
Yes.
So this month we decided to all do listener requested movies. So a little while ago we both put up on our personal Instagrams, you know, like, hey everyone, what do you think? We got quite a good number of, you know, write-ins, and then we take them all the time on our Instagram and Twitter as well, at The Swamp Pod. Even when we're not doing, like, themed, you know, listener requested months or whatever, we're still always, you know, wanting to hear what you guys... But the minute somebody requested Holes, I was like, hell fucking yeah, because this is probably in my top favorite movies of all time.
It's a movie that I think was probably very important for not only us, but any children that grew up in our generation.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely read the book. I can't remember if it was, like, assigned to me in school or if it was by choice, but I think the book was definitely a part of a lot of 4th to 8th grade curriculum, you know, for kids our age. I think the book came out in 1998 and the movie came out in 2003.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, right kind of at the peak to be influential for people our age. And I think that, you know, nostalgia obviously plays a big factor into why I love this movie so much, but I fucking think it holds up. I think if I were to watch this film for the first time today, I would say, yeah, it came out in 2003 and it's a little hokey, but I think that this isn't a phenomenal film. It's not a phenomenal book, but it's a phenomenal story.
I don't know if I can agree with you there. I think it's good. I think nostalgia is a massive factor.
I just think that this movie is an absolute masterclass on how to balance different storylines, especially, like, that sort of, like, different stories that all come together in the end. Jen, what? What? That was my mom just came in to tell me that she has a crush on Bella's dad from Twilight. And that when they released the cast, she was like, is he gonna be Edward? Which is funny, but...
I think the movie could have been improved if he was Edward.
If he played Bella's dad and Edward, like a freaky... Not Freaky Friday, but like when somebody plays a twin of themselves.
Yeah, the Parent Trap.
Yeah. But I think a lot of movies attempt to do that whole, you know, like 8 different individual storylines that all are tied together by some piece, and I think it's rarely successful, but I think that this movie so beautifully layers onions, stories, generational. It's a story about a family and generations and what has happened to them, and I think it's great. I think it should be held on way higher of a pedestal than it is. Granted, it is pretty hokey 2003 type, like, visual cinema.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, slow-mo cuts, like, bad transitions. I will say that, but...
I mean, it's no Pulp Fiction in terms of jumping around storylines that are interconnected, but I agree that it's definitely better done than, honestly, quite a few, like, critically acclaimed movies that try to do this.
Yeah.
I certainly agree with you there. The interlacing of the storylines between, like, Kiss and Kate Barlow and Sam with, like, the current period of, like, Stanley and Zero is quite good. But I mean, I think it's the hokiness for me that genuinely, unfortunately, it does take a bit away. But there's certainly tons of other early 2000s movies that have done it a lot worse. So I do give it a little grace in that respect.
It definitely has that, like, I bet you're wondering how I ended up here. Freeze frame, and then Dirty Little Secrets by the All-American Rejects starts playing. Like, is very that. It is a Disney 2003 movie. Like,
okay.
It's a decom.
But the soundtrack is way better than any Dirty Little Secrets or anything like that. Every time I watch this movie and I hear this soundtrack, I'm pretty floored and just taken aback by how good it is. I forget every time.
It's very smart, too.
Exactly.
It always pairs very well with the tone and the vibe, and it kind of is a little too nail on the head about, like, the lyrics of the song describe what's happening on screen. But
that's, like, not always a bad thing, though.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever watch, like, Sex Education or anything like that, their music does that a ton. And it really works, and I think in this case it certainly works here as well.
I am going to jump to the defense for this movie in most points, and I will say, the hokiness, it is a kid's movie.
That's
it was
true.
a Disney movie meant for kids based off of a book meant for kids, And
okay.
So, given the 2003 level of hoke and the children's movie level of hoke, I think it is an appropriate level of hoke.
See, there's some points, though, within the movie that really make me question if it is a movie for kids. They fully just tried to lynch a black man and just ended up shooting him.
Okay, I would say
doesn't feel like a kid's movie.
I think kids can handle more than you're willing to. As an adult, you think like, wow, that's a bit tough for a kid. But I feel like as a kid, that kind of stuff is shown to you more often than you think. You're being exposed to a lot of adult media, so it's not so bad. I'm gonna say that the target audience for this movie is a 6th grade kid. You know about slavery. You know about the racial injustice in America at that point. At least hopefully a little bit.
Yeah.
And violence. Video games. Kids at that age are playing violent video games. I think it's not entirely unreasonable for a certain amount of violence to be put in the movie. And
I suppose you're correct.
And they didn't want to reveal that this movie was about a juvenile detention center at first because they thought that parents wouldn't want their kids to be exposed to a movie about kids who were criminals.
Yeah.
But it's very much the opposite of that, and I think it was smart for them to kind of conceal that plot point because it's not it very much humanizes the kids in the movie. They aren't bad kids.
Kind of reminds me of the marketing for Brokeback Mountain when they marketed it as a straight movie
with fucking Anne Hathaway and Jake Gyllenhaal with their baby.
Jack Twist, more like
Jack Nasty. Anyways, the 2 cowboy movies that happen in landscapes, so it all ties together.
Would you consider this a cowboy movie? I mean,
yeah, John Voight wears cowboy boots and a hat the whole time.
I'd say it's more a cowgirl movie with Kissing Kate Barlow.
It's an outlaw movie.
Speaking of Kissing Kate Barlow, so this movie came out in 2003. Which was also the year that Kill Bill was released. And I just want to know who you think had a better female revenge arc. Kissin' Kate or Beatrix Kiddo?
Okay. Beatrix Kiddo, obviously, because she just is she's more of a badass and she's just fucking cooler and that's just a better movie. So that's just tough. But I do like that Kissin' Kate Barlow willed it to not rain. They killed her interracial lover, and then the lake dried up. She made that happen. She was so spiteful that she changed the weather patterns, and I just think that's really cool.
Beatrix is definitely
she's a better character.
Yeah, she's a notable force, but I mean, Kissin' Kate can fully control the weather, and you got to put some respect on that name for that reason.
I will say, Patricia Arquette does a fucking phenomenal performance here because she definitely nails the I'm the sweet Southern school teacher. I love my children and I make peaches. and then on a dime, she's a fucking stone cold murderer. Robber. She didn't even just kill the people who had wronged her. She started robbing fucking anyone. She was like, y'all are trash. Yeah, she's like, y'all are trash, and I'm gonna fucking be a fucking badass cowgirl. And
if you're a man and you've got money, I will kill you.
And I just think that's iconic.
Yeah, no. She's a role model, really.
And I feel like Sigourney Weaver,
So
another
good.
sort of like iconic, powerful female character, but it's almost the reverse of kissing Kate Barlow because you fucking hate her and her intentions are the opposite of good. She just cannot be supported. Even though you're like, hell yeah, Sigourney Weaver, you're 53 and you look hot as fuck. She's in a fucking sports bra, just like whipping her braids around, and I'm like, damn, ma. And she looks so good. That's all I've got to say.
All I'm hearing is that her character is good because she's so hot.
Well, no, but like, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna say that she deserves like girl boss like status or whatever. But it is very much in the movie a lead up of like, who is the warden? Stanley thinks that Mr. Sir is the warden. He doesn't realize it. And it's like a big reveal that she's a woman, which is, very like 2003 hokey feminism. But she is like a strong female character with a lot of agency, and she is trying to fucking do something, and she's doing everything in her power to do it.
She's just doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. Which, discussing the staff at the camp. So the camp is run by the warden, whose grandfather
owned the lake
and basically knew Kate Barlow. And so she knows that the treasure's out there somewhere. So she basically establishes an entire juvenile delinquent center to use unpaid fucking prison labor to dig holes to find a treasure. Like, Jesus, if this is not an allegory for the fucking prison industrial complex, I don't know what is. I think this movie's great for kids. I think all kids should see this movie, and I think everyone should vote for Bernie Sanders. This movie is why I voted for Bernie Sanders. This movie, as a kid, made me fucking hate authority and hate cops. And you say, Stanley has it bad, but you know who has it worse? Zero. He can't read. And I'm like playing it up right now, but genuinely, Stanley's whole thing in the movie is about luck. And that he feels unlucky because of a supposed curse on his family. And he feels like he has it so bad. And then he meets Zero, whose entire placement in this film is about circumstance. It's not that he didn't do anything wrong, he did steal things, but it was because he had to, because he was homeless. And so, I think Stanley's character learns a lot from, because he gives up the luck. I'm sorry, I just love this movie.
You're all over the place.
I'm just saying that this movie's about the prison industrial complex, and I think it's really important.
That's fair, as you should. I've got a quick question.
Okay.
Do you think that you could survive off of onions for multiple days on end, yes or no?
If they were sauteed in butter, yes.
We're not
No?
No, we're talking strictly in the context of the movie. Henry's not there to saute your onions for you.
I don't even think I have it in me to bite into an onion. Like, the way that Stanley raw dogs that onion, he pulls it out of the ground. He doesn't even dust it off on his shirt. You know how you, like, buff off your apple before you eat it? Yeah. This motherfucker doesn't even buff his onion before just sinking his fat chompers into it.
He hasn't had food or water for days.
That water was dirty as fuck. That onion was dirty as fuck. Homie was desperate, and he's gonna be real sick. That's all I have to say. No, I don't think I could fucking live off of onions. Are you kidding me?
I absolutely could. Just want to throw it out there.
You think you could bite into an onion like an apple?
100%.
I think I could, like, once as a joke, and then never again.
Just to prove that you can, and then I end up spitting it back out immediately after.
Did you ever, like, do that test in middle school science class where you close your eyes and you eat an apple and an onion and you can't tell the difference or something like that?
I feel like maybe. I think Henry and I were in the same 7th grade science class, so maybe he can attest for that.
I just remember there's the one where you put the thing on your tongue and if it's really bitter, that means you're a pussy. And, it, like, tells you if you're a picky eater, it's like if you have the picky eater gene.
That sounds really familiar, but I mean,
but there was that, and then there was
genuinely really like onions, so like
I do too, but like in moderation. I would take onions over peaches though. If that's like if you had to eat one to survive, peaches or onions, I'm going onions.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you there. A lot of people are going to say we're fucked up for that, but I mean...
I'm not going to put us both on blast here,
No,
but...
don't put us on blast. No, don't say it. Leave them guessing.
Oh, no. Well, let's just say that there's a certain piece of fruit that neither of us had ever ate before today. And
this brought a lot of shame onto this podcast.
Yeah, that's up to you to figure out what it is. But
we're 21 and 22-year-old women. How have we not?
I've had a peach ring, a gummy peach ring. And I think that's enough. So this movie has a lot of really great like dialogue, and I think it's because it was such a great book, and the author of the book, Louis Satcher, wrote the screenplay. And originally, somebody else had written the screenplay, and they made it a dystopian future.
Oh, no.
And it was very, like, not, and it was far off, and they were like, we don't think this is hitting the mark, let's, like, go back. So they consulted with Louis Satcher, and he's like, well, yeah, I'll just write up a screenplay real quick. And he did it, and they were like, this is perfect. So they used it, and they, hired him on for the film, and it was great. And I stand by that I think this is one of the greatest book-to-movie adaptations. It is so true to the original content, and it doesn't add anything super flashy to try to make it, better for film or whatever, and it doesn't, manipulate the story a lot. And I think by hiring, the author of the book.
Definitely bound to make it an easier transition.
Oh, but my original point, which is, not great at all, was just that there's a really funny scene where they're getting food, and over the PA, somebody's saying today's menu is beans, refried beans, green beans, pinto beans, and banana jello. And I just thought that was really fucking funny. But a lot of the dialogue is like very, not the way normal people speak, but not,
too far
awkward
off.
enough. Yeah.
It's not Star Wars.
Go listen to our episode about The Phantom Menace.
Yeah, you can hear all about it. But that also brings up, I had a question for you, because I've never read the books. Do you prefer the book to the movie?
Well, that's, like, tough because it's just two different
mediums.
And I will say, I'm a fucking crazy person. I reread the book, like, a couple days ago, because I knew we were going to do this, because I work at a library, and so we just had it. So during my lunch break, I was like, yeah, I'll reread Holds, and I blasted through it, and it is so fucking true to the movie. Louis Satcher did a scene-by-scene replication of his book for the movie. And I don't think there are a ton of really integral details that you miss out on as a movie watcher. I think they really hit everything on the head, and I think since it's such a cool storytelling process, nothing is done without a lot of intention. Everything comes back around in one way or another, whether you notice it or not. And I would say that this is tough to pick because they're exactly the fucking same. The big difference is that in the book, Stanley is fat and gets skinny by digging holes. And they were like, we're not going to make a child actor gain and lose weight. That's fucked up.
Yeah, that is fucked.
But yeah, other than that, it's essentially, it's word for word. And so I think a lot of other cases where you can do film versus movie and have a pretty, back and forth discussion about what the differences are, this one you really can't.
This also, I've just got a lot of questions tonight. This also kind of brings up, you made the point that they weren't going to make a child actor gain and lose weight because in the books, Stanley just gets ripped from digging holes.
He doesn't get ripped, but he can carry...
He gets skinny.
Well, yeah, he gets strong.
Oh.
He can carry Zero up the mountain, and he's like, holy shit, if I was still fat, we would both be dead.
I, early on, watching this movie, was thinking, because Stanley is given the option between either going to prison or going to Camp Green Lake, and I want to know, which would you prefer? Because for me, there's a lot of pluses and minuses. I think...
What are the pluses? What are the pluses? You get skinny because you're forced to do manual labor under a fucking...
Dude, my summer bod is gonna be fucking big.
Well,
you know how much I could probably bench after that?
I would say, though, it is kind of fucked up, because in the movie, they're like, your choice is either, juvenile prison or Camp Green Lake. And he goes, well, I've never been to camp before. And he goes to camp. They don't say, they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna go out in the desert where you will be abused and harassed by the people who are supposedly your, like, supervisors and caretakers, and you will be forced to do manual labor. They never explained that to him.
Do you think prison would be much better, though, considering it's pretty much the same thing? Less work, but you just get to live in, like, a 4x4 box.
Well,
I would at least prefer to be able to roam around a little bit. You know what I mean? But also, hold on, the one thing that's really holding me back from being like, I would choose Camp Green Lake is the idea of having to sleep in, like, 80-degree weather in a tent. I couldn't do that.
I mean, I don't think they have AC in prison, but...
They've got some temperature control, at least. I know they've got at least one thermostat.
I mean, my knowledge of what day-to-day life in prison is like is entirely informed by Orange is the New Black, which, let's go. And, and a day trip to a prison I took when I was... like a field trip.
You took a day trip to a prison?
A field trip. Yeah, I went to...
What field trip? We went to the same school.
No. I went to academic summer camp.
Oh.
Where I, like, took classes over the summer, and I lived out of college because I was a nerdy kid, and I took it was called Adolescence and the Law, and it was like a law course for kids, but so you got to go to a prison for a day, and we got to, like, walk around. We ate lunch with the prisoners.
Oh my god.
It was
like, did you eat the prison food, or did you bring your own back? You brought your own lunch?
They picked, like, 5 prisoners who were, like, on good behavior, and we all ordered takeout, and they got to eat the takeout with us, because they did a Q&A with us, and they, like, talked about what it was like to be in prison. Like, one of them had killed his mom or something. Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah, they, like, picked a pretty wide variety of, one of them was like, oh yeah, I'm just here for, like, 18 months for some low-level drug crimes. One of them's like, yeah, I'm a murderer and I'll be here for the rest of my life. On an educational day, but still, fuck the prison system. We're lucky to live in a state where things are run better than average.
Yeah.
I mean, things aren't great anywhere in America, but I feel lucky that Massachusetts at least has its shit together in some departments.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't know if I would choose prison or Camp Green Lake because I don't like to dig, but I also don't like to not get skinny. So I don't know, I feel like maybe the camaraderie you build at Camp Green Lake is better because you're having a shared experience of, the hole digging, whereas I think you can have a lot of different experiences in just a general prison.
Yeah.
But sure. Like, everyone is kind of equalized there. So maybe, I don't know. I think I would probably, if somebody threatened to murder me, my heart would just combust on its own and I would drop dead. If somebody even told me, they're like, oh yeah, you are found guilty for a crime, you're going to prison, my body would just shut down. So I don't even have to worry about that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
If you had to have a nickname, so all the kids have nicknames, they're like, they have like armpit zigzag. I don't know. What do you want I want my nickname to be like Juicy Booty.
I just don't. They're giving kids names like Armpit and Caveman. I just don't think they're gonna give you such a flattering nickname as Juicy Booty.
Or what about? I would want to be called like
You could be like Four Eyes or something really like.
No, like X-Ray.
Really,
is the kid with the glasses.
Really uninspiring nickname. I'm trying to think. I like to be something like Short Stack or something like that because I'm just fucking 5'3".
I think they should call me like UTI.
That's a good one. That's on brand, but you'd have to tell.
I'd have to disclose my medical information to get that nickname. I don't know. Where's some other funny nicknames? It could be like stank ass, swamp ass,
swamp ass. We could be
swampy.
Yeah, swampy.
Hey, yo, swampy.
They've just listened to the podcast before, and they're like, "Hey, swampy."
I like, though, they do explain, like, a lot of the kids' nicknames, like the X-Ray is because he wears big glasses, Armpit is because he smells bad, Magnet is because he steals things.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny. I don't really know why they call him Caveman. They just say he looks like a Neanderthal, which I guess isn't too far off, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I have any, like, really outstanding character features that
they could
would,
call
like,
you like a baseball cap.
yeah.
like thrift store sweater. Hey yo, Goodwill.
You know what? Honestly, I'd be flattered.
Yeah, just not Salvation Army. Fuck that.
They could just call, but I was like, they could just call me, like, slurs.
Yeah, at least they weren't calling each other the N-word, you know? I think that if this movie had been made for an adult audience, that lynching scene could have been a lot more offensive.
Yeah, really. If Quentin Tarantino directed this would be very different.
I don't think race is really talked about at the forefront of this film, but
it all comes to a head very quickly, though.
Oh, yeah.
Once Sam's seen kissing Kate Barlow.
Yeah, he seems very accepted by the townspeople. And, like, granted, he's still, seen as, like, a lower class, like, profession. He's, like, just, like, an onion salesman. He's a farmer, whatever. But he's still like, let me tell y'all about my onions. And they're like, wow, Sam, you're curing my baldness.
Yeah, thanks for my onions, Sam.
Yeah,
what would I do without you?
He seems pretty well, like, respected and liked by the community. But the minute there's a little bit of interracial loving, they're like, we need to lynch this man on sight. What are they gonna do without the onions in their town? They're willing to sacrifice their beliefs and values for the produce of this town?
Apparently.
I guess.
I'd like to try this man's onions. They must have been top notch.
And he was saying, he was like rubbing onion oil on people's heads for baldness.
Yeah. Sounds like a Jesus Christ kind of moment where he's doing miracles just with onions.
But I think race also plays a little bit into the modern storyline with the boys. I don't think it's talked about. I think the most it's really alluded to is that when Zero starts digging Stanley's holes for him in exchange for reading lessons, a lot of the other boys make comments like, He's your slave.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more prominent in the book. They make jokes like, why don't we get you a whip and stuff like that. It's a lot more, forward.
Jeez.
But I think there definitely is, you see a lot of these people of color, children of color, COCs, is that a term?
Sure.
I don't know, but they are describing, coming from less fortunate backgrounds, and then they ended up here in this situation where they're basically being exploited for labor.
Yeah.
Very, like I said,
It's very parallel.
Yeah, very reminiscent of today. But I think it was a really, it's a very aware casting choice to make a lot of those boys not white. Stanley's kind of in the minority, and all the higher up, the people who run the camp are all white. All the staff members and the people who run it. So I think that is like very mirroring of real life, and I think that was definitely intentional.
A very, smart choice, honestly.
For 2003, too.
Yeah.
And especially because it's not something they were trying to hit the nail on the head really hard. They weren't trying to hit you really hard over the head with, the racial injustices for the modern day situation as much as they were with the old one. But we had talked about, so Madame Zeroni is the farthest back, timeline that we get to see with the great-grandfather, whatever, Elia Yelnats, and Madame Zeroni and the whole, carry the pig up the mountain situation, which, I don't know, whatever time this is supposed to be, like, 1840s?
Yeah, mid-1800s, somewhere around that.
But, it's implied that they're not in America.
Yeah.
Where the fuck are they?
I have no idea.
In mid-1800s America, that Eartha Kitt is a land-owning fortune teller.
They're not in America, that's for sure. You see him going, like, Elia Yilnat's going, and he's on a ship over to America and all that stuff. But, trying to place anyone's accent during that time period is so tough, because, there's some, Russian accents that are kind of thrown
Eastern
in there.
European, a little bit of, the music was giving me very, Austria, Hungary,
but
Germany.
Elia Yilnats and also Madame Zeroni are not white.
Yeah.
And I find it hard to believe that they could be in Russia, considering that, the population of people of color in Russia is 0.05% or something like that.
I have the answer. I
Where
found
is
the
it?
answer.
Oh my god.
Latvia. But still, Madame Zeroni was a black woman.
Yeah.
That's fully Eartha Kitt, working full-time as a fortune teller, owns about a dozen pigs. Doesn't check out.
She's fully got pigs to spare. So she's been hustling.
This guy is like, come tell me my fortune. And she's like,
I'll give you a pig.
I'll give you a pig for free if you leave me the fuck alone. If you carry me up a mountain, you can have my pig.
Dude, I've just been thinking about how long she must have thought about. She's like, oh man, this kid's gonna carry me up a mountain. I'm gonna get some of the freshest water in the city. And then he just forgets her. I'd be so let down and so upset.
I would be relieved. I am really uncomfortable when people pick me up. I hate that.
That sounds like a you problem.
I hate that. Like when people are like, you're so small, and then they lift me. I'm like, I hate that we're having this much bodily contact. Imagine
That's fair.
being carried up a mountain. I'd be like, have you ever been like thrown over someone's shoulder? That kind of hurts your midsection. It's uncomfortable. Maybe if you had a papoose. If you had a little papoose for me, if you had one of those little baby backpacks, I could be down for that maybe. Or like if I sat on his shoulders or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't want to be like fully carried.
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't want to do like, you could fully like piggyback ride on him.
That's work for me. You gotta hold on to piggyback someone. You're out here digging holes, getting ripped and something. Now you think you're hot shit. You chose not to go to prison. You chose to fucking be a slave.
I can just appreciate a good piggyback ride. I'm sorry.
Hey, here's the thing: is that this might be taken out of context, but I would be a slave for Sigourney Weaver.
Whoa.
I would dig holes for that woman.
Please, no one crop that.
I would. She is 71.
Mm-hmm. She looks amazing.
She looks so hot. Her and Willem Dafoe are my two like pinnacles of like, can old people be hot? Yes. And there are my two examples right there.
Yeah.
Well, truly, white people don't age very gracefully.
No, never.
And when I picture a 71-year-old white woman, it's not cute.
No.
But Sigourney Weaver, she has cracked the code.
Yeah, no, she looks fantastic. She's not even one of those women that looks like they've gotten a lot of work done either or anything like that.
I think she just earned it.
You think?
Okay, so I have a question for you, even though it's, kind of subjective.
Okay.
But, like, who do you think, not who's the best character, but, like, what performance would you say is the true standout of this movie? Because I think there are so many standout performances. Almost everyone is really delivering a cool and different character, but which one, if off the dome, best performance in holes?
I think I really liked, I can't think of his name, Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Oh my god.
For some reason,
Scruggs.
He just stands out to me for, like, a lot of, like, the really arrogant comments that he makes towards Zero and everything like that. And it's, like, he is kind of portrayed as the nicer counselor, but also there's, like,
he's still a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. And I think I don't know. I think he does quite a good job of portraying that, I suppose.
I call it, his name is Tim Blake Nelson. I wouldn't have known that. No, I just call him Buster Scruggs.
Yeah, I have no idea. But for some reason, he is the first one that kind of jumps out to me. I also I really enjoyed the character of Armpit a lot. I thought he was funny, made me laugh a little bit.
Yeah, I don't like child actors often, but I think that they gave each kid enough airtime to get a personality out of them, but not too much that you're annoyed that you're watching child actors, at least for the background characters.
Yeah.
And I think with a movie that has kids in it, you have to balance it out with really strong adult actors. Because the kids can't be the focal point all the time. And, like, the thing that comes to mind with me is School of Rock. I hate child actors, but I love School of Rock because you have fucking Jack Black carrying
the ship,
that movie, where you're like, every kid in this movie is maybe a little bit annoying and not very talented, but it's not about them, it's about Jack Black, who's awesome. So, but I feel the same way about this movie, where you have a lot of, child or teenage actors, but it is equally balanced by Sigourney Weaver, Jon Voight, Buster Scruggs.
Yeah.
Even his parents, Henry Winkler, and the bus driver from Forrest Gump.
Yeah, no, I do love some Henry
The grandpa is also, like, such a good character, even though he's got, like, 3 minutes of screen time, and I feel very fleshed out character from him.
I really enjoy his presence. It's pretty comforting.
But I think
Who would you say?
Yeah, my answer is Zero.
Yeah, his is quite good.
And I think that he was given a great role. I think, a mediocre actor could have still done a very good job with that character just because he's such a cool part of the story. But I thought that kid did a really fucking great job. I wish that guy's acting career had taken off a little more than it had. He should have the success, if not more, than Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But also, I will say that I think this is Jon Voight's best performance in anything he's ever been in, truly.
What else have you ever seen him in besides
National Treasure?
I
don't know, he's in stuff, you know?
He's in stuff.
I didn't know that he was Angelina Jolie's dad until, like, a couple weeks ago, and my mom and I were talking about, like, famous people who have famous parents, and, like, famous people who are famous because their parents got them in the industry, and she was like, oh yeah, Angelina Jolie. I was like, what the fuck? And she was like, Jon Voight, and I was like, the dad from National Treasure? That goofy motherfucker?
Yes, sir.
That goofy motherfucker made Angelina Jolie.
You better believe it.
But he's just so goofy in this movie, and he just, like, I think he so embodies that, like, that kind of guy, you know, like, kind of on edge, thinks he's better than everyone else.
I really liked seeing him moseying around after
with the
dark,
guns,
trying to shoot all the lizards. Which, also, can we just take a minute to talk about the lizards really quick? Because you brought up the really interesting point that all of the lizards that were used that weren't obviously CGI were bearded dragons that they, hired for the movie. But also
pay them an equal wage.
Do you think there's a bearded dragon union?
Like desert animal actor union? Because I always think about horse actors. Like Game of Thrones, when they have big battle scenes where like horses are just falling down.
There's famous horse actors out there.
I believe it. I couldn't name one. But
I remember watching a Saoirse Ronan interview, and then she had like this famous horse that was supposed to be really good, like in like that movie Mary Queen of Scots, and then it just,
that no one saw.
Yeah, it just wouldn't work. The horse was like, "No, I won't do what you say." But like, they're like very famous horses for movies, which is just an amazing concept.
Horses terrify me, and I would never get near one by choice ever.
I've been thrown off a horse before. Did I ever tell you that?
Oh my god, no! I would die. I just always think if they kicked me in the head, it would crack my skull. So I don't want to get near that shit.
It hurt really bad.
But yeah, I think about like when horses fall over, that's a lot of weight hitting the ground.
Tons.
But anyways, there are horses in this movie, actually. I was gonna say there are no horses.
There's a couple horses.
Yeah. Patricia Arquette rides a horse. I wish she stood up on it. That would have been badass.
Yeah, that'd be hot.
She could ride the horse standing up.
She probably could if she really wanted to.
Objectively, who's more of a baddie in this movie? Okay. Patricia Arquette or Sigourney Weaver?
Patricia Arquette, hands down.
Yeah, she shows more more baddie energy.
Yeah. All right, but back to the what were we talking about? We were talking about the lizards. So Dara mentioned this while we were watching the movie. The fact that every actual lizard that was used in this movie was painted with what was it, child-safe paint?
Yeah, it was like non-toxic child finger paint or whatever. Yeah, they were like hand-painted all these lizards, which were like, it had to be an unpaid intern.
Yeah, I want to, if anyone has any idea about who had to paint these lizards, please reach out to us. We just want to hear about the experience. It feels like, was it like those interns that go and take care of like the babies on set after birth scene? And they just slather them up with some jelly.
With fucking Vaseline.
Yeah, and just call them a day.
They're like, Rebecca, come here. Take the oiled up baby. Swap it out for a new one. This one won't cry.
Honestly, it's probably easier to work with some lizards just painting them.
Yeah, right? Yeah. They were bearded dragons. And I just want to know, because we were talking like, you know, the animal unions of actors. And, you know, you have horses, right? Or you have dogs. And that comes up a lot. And you're like, okay, I'm going to pimp out my golden retriever. I'm going to get him into the golden retriever acting union.
Yeah, he's going to play Air Bud.
Some motherfucker who was waiting for this moment. Somebody who owned 50 bearded dragons and had been constantly putting out Craigslist ads. Yeah. Very well behaved bearded dragons. He hit the jackpot with this one. They were like, yes, we're going to put some non-toxic paint on these boys, and they will be the star. Oh my god, imagine.
Dude, there were so many bearded dragons.
This was the one opportunity. Do you think they had auditions? Do you think some other guy with less well-behaved bearded dragons came and he fucked up the audition? And this was his one shot. Where other movie has bearded dragon supremacy like this one?
I wish I could say, but I think this is the only movie that really comes to mind when bearded dragons are at the forefront of the conversation.
I am not an educator. I shouldn't be. You know, don't let me near your kids for profanity reasons. But I think that this book should be taught in all schools. And I think it is, you know, I remember it being in school a lot, you know, whether it was part of the curriculum or just something we were encouraged to read, like summer reading, whatever.
Yeah.
But one of the coolest things I think about this book, at least the printed versions that are coming out today, are that at the back of the book, they have a section of the screenplay.
Oh, that's neat. I really like that.
And they explain in a little thing about how, like, Louis Satcher was, you know, invited on to write the screenplay. So here is the chapter from the book, and then here is the screenplay section from the movie, and you get to read them back to back.
That's super cool.
It's so cool, and I think that is such a cool way to get kids engaged about, like, reading and writing and, you know, having them read that and then, I don't know, like, adapt something to your own screenplay. I don't think that sort of creative expression, you know, creative writing is seeming to be very, like, you know, write a story, whereas I think this is a good example of a different way. You know, take your favorite book, turn it into a screenplay.
Yeah.
Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
You know, and that's...
Who's gonna stop you? I mean, maybe the guy that wrote it, because there's some licensing and copyright issues, but I mean...
Then you can get into copyright laws with your 6th grade class, and maybe you will spark an interest in somebody who will be a great lawyer someday, you know?
Exactly.
But I just think that it's really cool that the movie to book adaptation is so true, because you can have a kid read this book and then you can show them the movie and you can say, like, look at, you know, how similar they are. Because I think it's really cool. I'm a very, like, I don't know, like, image-based thinker. Like, if I'm reading a book, I'm, like, watching it like a movie in my head a lot of the time. And so it's really cool to see that play out. Because, you know, you read a book and you're like, this would be an awesome movie, and then they turn it into a movie and it fucking sucks.
Oh, yeah. Too many times.
And then, yeah, and then you're just, like, so pissed in your heart because you're like, the movie I got to watch in my head
was so much better
than the shit they gave me. Whereas I think with Holes, it's exactly as you picture it, at least.
A lot of movies don't do that, unfortunately. I think this one definitely, I mean, from your account, sounds like it holds up.
What are some other really good book to movie adaptations that you can
The
think
first
of?
one that I can think of is The Hunger Games. I really loved that book. I read that book probably more than 5 times in, like, the 8th grade, and I really loved that adaptation. I think Catching Fire was pretty good too. The rest of it was kind of shit. Yeah. But I mean, I think those ones were really good. I read a lot of teen dystopian novels, just because I think that's the era that we grew up in. I mean, Divergent didn't hold up.
Not as good.
Maze Runner didn't hold up.
Oh,
I
would say that Maze Runner was the best of those books, in my opinion, and came out the worst in the movies. You know, what a failure.
Yeah, I've read part of The Goldfinch.
Oh no, that was not. I didn't.
Yeah,
I
hear the movie was trash.
The movie was bad.
Which is also like fuck Ansel Elgort.
Yeah, yeah. The theme of this episode is men who suck, and at the top of the list
is Shia LaBeouf.
I was gonna say whoever killed Sam the Onion Man. Because Shia LaBeouf hasn't killed anyone yet, but who's to say?
Yeah, I wouldn't cross it off just yet.
Armie Hammer.
Oh god.
I'm really excited to see how all this plays out, TBH.
Yeah.
I'd love to have some insight. Whatever. He played a twin of himself, which I think would be a really fun month to do. I have like a Letterboxd playlist, and it's people who play twins of themselves in movies. And it's, Armie Hammer playing the Winklevoss twins is haunting.
Yeah. Also, follow us on Letterboxd, guys.
Oh god, don't follow me!
Alright, follow me on Letterboxd.
I'm gonna get exposed for my trash movie opinions. Literally, at the top of this, me saying that Holes is in my top 10 of all time is exposing me for having such trash opinions. Like, when I'm like, the integration of storylines is so masterful and beautiful, and you're like, Dara, have you seen Pulp Fiction?
Okay, but some people rated Promising Young Woman really well, which a lot of, like, people that are big into the film Twitterverse and all that stuff, and just the film YouTubeverse.
We're trying to break in.
Yeah, they're like, Promising Young Woman was amazing.
If you didn't like it, you just didn't understand. stand.
Yeah, we were gonna do an episode about that, but also we decided it was just too bad to do an episode about that.
We watched the movie together, fully intending to record about it, and then exactly as soon as the movie ended, I just had to scream into a pillow, and then I said, "We're not talking about that."
No, that movie was a slap in the face, and it sucked. I can't wait to be just so mad
Upset.
watching award season when it's nominated for everything.
So next month in April, we're going to try to dig in a little bit to some award season movies. So if you're out there and you kind of follow the Golden Globes and the Oscars pretty heavily like we do, feel free to definitely send us some opinions, some hot takes, because I feel like I never fucking agree with anything anyone says, Academy or otherwise.
The only thing I think we could all agree with was Parasite's wins last year.
So
and
true.
That was the one time they made the right choice, and I can't wait to see them make all of the wrong choices again this year.
Well, they have 10 movies to choose from? How many movies came out this past year? Not very many.
No, not many at all.
But my mom and I started getting really into watching all the Oscar nominees purely out of spite because we watched the Oscars the year Birdman won. And we hadn't seen it, but we were like, seems like a weird choice. I wish I was more educated on that. And then the following year, we're like, well, let's watch all of them so we can know how to feel next time.
It's good.
And I thought Birdman was not great.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're really diving away from holes.
So should we get into our regularly scheduled segments?
Yes. Okay, I, at the top of this, want to say that I think I have a pretty good idea for a snack pairing.
Lay it on me.
And I haven't ever made this, or eaten it, or tried it.
Very bold.
But I think if you are being very thematic and you're trying to combine onions and peaches, those are two very conflicting flavors.
I'm really interested to see where you go from here.
So I think that the only way that this might work is that you get some sort of peach, jam, like a spiced peach preserve of some sort, yeah? You get a crostini, goat cheese,
some prosciutto,
balsamic drizzle, the peach, and then caramelized onions.
You really put a lot of thought into this, Gordon Ramsay, didn't you?
Yeah, well, because I was looking up, Holes-themed cocktails, and there was one that was, make a peach Bellini, but then put a cocktail onion in it.
That's fucked up.
And I was like, what the hell? But then in my head, I was like, well, what is a good way to combine peaches and onions? And then, you know me, my brain went straight to charcuterie board.
Of course,
How do we, the jams, the whatever. So, yeah, I don't know if that would taste great, but I think, the balsamic will cut a little bit for the sweetness, and you got the goat cheese and the crostini. That would be my snack idea. I would have to make it, obviously, before serving it to people.
Yeah. I think that sounds amazing.
We ate chicken tenders.
That also felt pretty good in terms of, this is technically a child's, 6th grade movie, and that felt timely. It brought me back to my youth.
Yeah, truly. We should have just had kid cuisines.
Oh, stop. Maybe a Hot Pocket.
Dungaroos. But we tried to make peach cocktails, and they came out they tasted like peach, but we were like, this isn't great.
Yeah, no.
But then we did a peach, Moscow Mule.
Yeah, no, this was, the first cocktail that we made was pretty trash, I'm not gonna lie.
It was peach vodka, peach juice, peach nectar.
Yeah, we got some peach nectar, and then a peach slice or two, and then seltzer.
It was plain. It was drinkable, but it was if I paid a lot of money for it at a restaurant, I would have been upset.
But pretty much the better version of that drink,
peach vodka and ginger beer and lime.
Exactly, it's essentially the same thing, but
I feel like every
week,
week we say this is the cocktail, but if you just add ginger beer, it's better.
Yeah.
Last week we were like, fucking a martini. Add ginger beer, motherfuckers.
Put some seltzer in it. Yeah, no. For all the fruity little guys and gals out there, these are just our opinions as 20-something-year-old females.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the peach flavors really lend themselves to cocktails that use, bourbon and whiskey. I know, a peach smash is, a thing where it's, bourbon.
That sounds quite good, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really... That stuff gives me GERD. Whiskey gives me GERD. I gotta be honest with you guys. I like a clear liquor.
Fair enough. We can't argue that.
I'm not gonna get into it. Not gonna divulge too much of my personal medical history on the podcast, despite the fact that I've nicknamed myself UTI.
We should just upload your medical records with the bond next this time.
Oh no, nobody can read through that many pages.
Okay. So this is a tough movie to do fuck, marry, kill with because most of the main cast are children.
I think not though. I think there's enough adults.
There's a good handful of adults that I feel like we could throw up on the board.
I would say the majority of this cast are adults.
I feel like it's a pretty... the main cast is definitely children, but there's like probably like a 50-50 ratio to adults that are featured.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I think there are really only like 7 or 8 children who are, and I'm going to say there are like 10 plus adults. I don't know. Anyways, fuck, marry, kill is not going to be any problem here because I'm going to need a second to think about this.
Okay.
Because there's too many people I want to fuck. This is such a fuckable cast. They're all so hot. Who do you choose? Like Sigourney Weaver, yes, but then I am becoming part of the prison industrial complex, and I will not fuck a cop. That's for sure.
I've got one.
Okay, do it.
Okay, so Sigourney Weaver, Sam, or Kissin' Kate Barlow. Fuck, marry, kill.
Okay, well, out the gate, I am marrying Sam the Onion Man. Are you kidding? Onions for life. He has a donkey. You see how much he loves that donkey? How much he cherishes that donkey? Mm-hmm. He will put into his wife. He could build a house. He could build me a house on his onion farm. Granted, I wouldn't want to live in that era. I would be dead. I would frankly be dead already if it weren't for modern medicine. So, Sam the Onion Man and Sam the Onion Man and I probably wouldn't work out. I also don't know how to make preserves.
They would probably kill you because you'd be married.
A witch.
You'd be married to it'd be an interracial marriage. You saw how that worked out in the movie.
Yeah, but we could be secret about it. It could be on the hush hush, you know.
Okay, fair enough. So you're marrying Sam.
Well, okay, if I'm marrying Kissin' Kate Barlow, they're gonna kill me too. They don't like gays either.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of screwed with that pick, wasn't I?
I mean, and then my only choice left is to marry Sigourney Weaver, who's literally the cops. Yeah. So, I mean...
Okay, so take all of the context out.
I'm gonna marry Sam with context, I'm gonna marry Sam the Onion Man. I guess, I've been so vocally pro Sigourney Weaver that this is gonna kind of come as a shock, but I'm gonna fuck Kissin' Kate Barlow. She's just got that reputation.
Yeah.
She's just got that energy.
Her nickname is Kissin' Kate.
She's a verse. That girl is a switch. She went from school teacher to outlaw that. She knows how to change it up.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I'll kill Sigourney Weaver because fuck her for exploiting not only just like prison labor, but youth prison labor.
Yeah, that's especially fucked. Ooh. I'm gonna have to go with also killing Sigourney Weaver. I hate to do it. I love you, Sigourney, but it can't. For the same reasons. I gotta kill her. And then I'm gonna do the opposite of what you did. I'm gonna marry Kissin' Kate Barlow. Because she's Kissin' Kate Barlow.
Yeah, you get to be an outlaw with her. Do you know how to ride a horse though? You got thrown off of one. Maybe you can't roll. You can't roll with that gang.
I've put in some work, some hours since then. I'll see. I think I could ride with her. Maybe just take it a little slow. Yeah, and then I just fuck Sam.
Sam the Onion Man, he got that dick. He said, I can fix that. He's smooth as hell. She's crying into her book of poetry, and he comes up, he says, I can fix that. Yeah, oh my God. My little 8-year-old heart was like, that is love.
I love that onions were such a romantic gesture in this movie.
He's like, I got that special bag of onions for you, baby. Okay, I want to say you have to pick between Henry Winkler, the sneaker dad, John Voight, the crazy camp counselor, and Buster Scruggs, the other camp counselor.
So off the bat, I'm gonna marry Henry Winkler. That's no contest.
And he gets that dough in the end.
Exactly. Really, between the other two is a tough thing. I think I'm gonna fuck. What's his name? John Voight?
John Voight, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna fuck John Voight because I wouldn't be able to fuck Buster Scruggs without him. He seems like one of those guys that, like, you'd smash and then he'd immediately get emotionally attached to you. So I just couldn't do that. So I'm gonna fuck John Voight and then kill Buster Scruggs.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. That's a very fair assessment. Yeah, especially the way the movie ends. You know, Henry Winkler is the winner. out of those three.
Yeah.
The other two kind of get their big
Well,
tuna
it's just-
comeuppance, and Henry Winkler ends up, inventor of $1 million foot cream.
It's Henry Winkler. There's not even out of this movie, I would still smash.
What a guy. Okay, what about the whole movie? I just think there's too many to pick from,
Out of
quite
the
frankly.
whole movie?
Yeah, there's so many hot people in this movie. Even Clyde Livingston, Sweet Feet, he's hot.
Oh, shit. Yeah, no, I forgot. He's very hot. I'd fuck Clive Livingston.
Elia Yelnats, too, the great-great-grandfather who got dissed by the girl.
The middle part doesn't do it for me.
Okay, if you tousled the hair. He was cute, but also he needed love. He loved that stupid girl.
I've got it.
Yes, give it to me.
Sorry, who was Sweet Feet? What was his name?
Clyde Livingston.
I would fuck Clyde Livingston.
Out of everyone in this movie, you're picking him above Kate Barlow and... we already touched those bases, but...
Okay. That's a great point. This is a tough one.
Tough.
Okay, let me go for... I'm gonna skew my... I'm gonna skew my picks a little older for this one. I am going to fuck Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
I'm gonna marry Madame Zeroni.
Yeah. Yup.
And I'm gonna kill John Voight. Yeah. Why wouldn't you marry Eartha Kitt?
Yeah, I just want to carry her up the mountain.
Exactly.
I'll build her a wheelbarrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wheelbarrow her up the mountain. Because I can't lift, but...
I'll buy a donkey and have her ride on that up the mountain.
Do you think she can walk?
I think that she can, but she just chooses not to because she's just...
She wants to give that mysticism about her.
Yeah.
The rocking chair adds a vibe.
She doesn't have to at this point.
I feel like, okay, I don't have a lot of desire in my life to be a parent right now.
Fair.
But, like, Zero's mom...
Uh-huh.
And then you get to be, like, the step-parent of Zero, who seems like a really cool kid.
That's true.
Like, that's a cool... I don't know. If you're gonna adopt a kid, like, that's a cool kid to have. But I'm not saying that you should marry someone because you think their kid is cool, because that's a weird reason.
Yeah.
But she was trying her best.
Uh-huh.
But she's not my pick. I just thought it was worth noting.
Yeah. Honorable mention?
Honorable mention. Clyde Livingston's wife was really hot, too.
I didn't get a good...
For a split second at the end, when she was in the commercial, I thought it was Zero's mom, and I thought that the storyline was that, like, Zero's mom and Clyde Livingston were now, like, together.
No,
and I was like,
so.
God damn, what a big tie-in, but no.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, that wasn't the truth. They were, yeah, this movie has so many. Who to choose? I guess I'm going to marry the social worker.
That's a good pick.
Who saved Stanley.
That's a great pick.
She seemed really good at her job.
Yeah.
And I think she cares a lot about her work.
Yeah.
Was she a social worker or was she a lawyer? I think she said they kept calling her counselor. I don't know. I liked her, so I'll marry her. I keep basing my picks off of their career, and I just want our listeners to know that I'm not, like, seeking out arrangements like that. I'm not trying to, like, marry for money, but it's just something that I'm keeping in mind while watching these films. I guess I'm going to fuck... Who am I gonna fuck? Yeah, I guess... Sigourney Weaver.
She's Sigourney Weaver, you know?
Yeah, just that scene where she's, like, in a Calvin Klein fucking sports bra and a denim jacket, and she's painting her nails with rattlesnake venom. Like,
how can you say no to that?
Yeah, she's it, for sure. I was like, how does little 15-year-old Stanley not have a boner right now? Are you kidding me?
Jesus.
I'm just saying, like, if I was a 15-year-old boy in the presence of a hot woman, of a hot MILF in a sports bra,
It's fair.
My blood would be pumping too. And I'm going to kill the judge that sentenced Stanley because
that's good.
Because he was kind of an asshole, and he also did not disclose enough information for my taste.
No, that's very fair.
Disbar him.
Good.
Yeah. That's my off the cuff, deep cut picks.
This is some good choices.
And what do you follow this movie up with?
Christ. That's a tough question. Personally, this movie feels like one of those ones that I used to watch on Disney Channel a lot, and there would often be a double feature. And for some reason, the first thing that came to my head when you asked me that was the movie Sky High.
I was gonna say Sky High! That was the movie I had in my head, Emily. I can't believe we are so in sync. I was like, in my head, I was like, should I go first? I already know my answer. It's Sky High. Yes, it's just, there's that pocket of movies from that time period that I think just really, really stuck with me. Holes, Sandlot, Sky High. Yeah, for sure. Sky High was
that was probably one of my favorite ones.
I thought you were gonna say the Cheetah Girls.
No, it's not quite in the same vein.
It's those that weren't like Disney Channel original movies, but they were like
very
adjacent. You know, like
exactly,
Disney adjacent.
Exactly.
Type like still live action. Yeah, Sky High was my pick too. Wow.
No,
should we fucking go? Like Kurt Russell, call me.
That was certainly one of my top tier Disney favorites.
I would say one of my earliest like movie crushes was from Sky High, the kid War and Peace. War and Peace.
I don't exactly remember.
He looks like Prince Zuko.
I know exactly what you're talking
he was
about,
like he was like the bad guy, but then he like kind of turns good at the end. Yeah. And his name was Warren Peace. That's so good.
Yeah, no, that is fresh. I think I mean, you can't follow the movie Holes up with anything that's like too heavy-handed. Not heavy-handed, but too heavy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I would say like I always go for like the actor double feature.
Yeah.
And like
we're not doing anything with Shia LaBeouf. And like, you can watch something with Henry Winkler, maybe.
Yeah, or I would say like you could watch Alien. That'd be a weird choice.
That would be a weird choice. That'd be a hard left
cut,
turn. Yeah.
Or maybe National Treasure is another.
That could be a good one,
in the pocket
actually.
for me too. That
could be a very good one.
I get Ballad. You can watch the first 25 minutes of the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which is all that you need to watch.
Yeah, that's all I've got.
What would you rate this movie? 1 through 10.
I mean, is nostalgia factored into it? Yes or no?
Yeah, just like somebody says, "Oh, Holes."
Probably like a 7.5. I just really like this movie. It's got a very sweet spot. I think in probably both of our hearts. Is it actually worth a 7.5 out of 10? No, but it's kind of on the same basis of how I rated Star Wars, which I think I gave like a 6 or something like that. Oh,
you're apologizing for your 7. I'm fully giving this movie a 9.
Fair enough.
It's just so personal. I think this is really a comfort movie for me. If I'm like in a bad state or whatever, I know, like I was saying, I watched The Holes this week, so now I know I'm gonna have a good week because I'm just like high off of the serotonin that this movie gives me. I like feeling validated in my childhood favorites, you know?
Yeah.
Because there are some things that I liked a lot when I was a kid that I look back at now and I'm like, ooh, cringe, that was not good. But, something that I fully enjoyed to this extent as a 22-year-old that I really loved as a, 10-year-old. I'm like, wow, I had okay taste. Yeah, I'll give it a 9. I think this is... I'm a big lover of the film to movie. You love the book, you love the movie, and it happens so rarely that this just does it for me.
Yeah. Shall we end with a quote?
Oh, which one? There's so many to pick from.
It's so hot, Sam, but I feel so cold.
I can fix that. Anyways, give us a follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you should be able to find us. We're also on Instagram and Twitter and also at Gmail at the Swamp Pod. So,
see you next week.
Eat some onions.